I wanted to learn how to use that medium for the ends that I had. I mean, I always had an end. I wanted to use art as a political tool. I don't think people in politics these days are attuned enough to know the importance of that. They don't know humour, they don't know irony. We're frightened of metaphor. They really don't communicate very well. I mean, Trump makes the best theatre because everyone laughs at him and on one side and the other side believe he's God. You know, to me, both of it is theatre. Both of it is art. Australians are not particularly musical. We've got probably one of the world's worst national anthems. Music's an example, but I think also creativity is something that in the artistic world has to be dragged out kicking and screaming from the Australian personality. It can be dealt with through just fate, or it can be dealt with through malice. I've had to deal with both in my career. I mean, journalism was pretty malicious. A number of times I've had to pull daggers out of my back that have been inserted by colleagues at the age. But I still have hung in there and won in the end. When I went back to newspapers after Prahran, I went back and worked at the Age. Then I worked for the state government. Then I worked for the Melbourne Herald, the National Times on Sunday, Sunday Observer. I was chief of staff. And then I went to the Sunday Age. And at the Sunday Age, there was a lot of toxicity. I was kept on as a casual when other people were put on full time. My stories were being written by sub-editors from the News Limited, from The Sun. If you weren't a person that had status, and I didn't at that stage, they would just slash your stuff into this Herald and Weekly Times drivel. You know, everything was cut. And I sort of finally took them to court, the Age. They were shocked. And the Industrial Relations Commission said they would, if they didn't sort it out within a week, they'd fine them $1,000 for every day that I'd been employed illegally. That was $1 million. They sorted it fast. And then, but one of the conditions was that my raw copy had to be viewed before I put it in to the system, had to be read by the deputy editor. I knew. And he said to me, look, I don't know how you ended up like this. You know, you were one of the best journalists we had. He had to sort of put out a memo that this, you know, those Sun subs keep your hand off his copy. And it ended up being, I ended up becoming one of their sort of great writers because of being fucked around by these dickheads. And that can happen in life. I don't have shows because I've got nothing more to say pictorially. And B, it just doesn't matter. I finished in about 82 when the bloody... My greatest collection is Parliament House. They bought a whole series of my photos and they're up on the walls of politicians. And I went up there about 10 years ago to the gallery, the Parliament House gallery, and I got invited in. Nobody gets in there because they've got a huge collection of art. What's Alicia Van Mollick was the director. And she said, you know, your photos are always out on display. Politicians love them. They were items of influence.